I'll make sure I'm recording this anyway. It's the relaunch to reweight Godzilla. Okay, let me go through it. Hey, great to see so many of you on the stream this morning. Who's here? Aaron, Amira, Darren, Ash, Efo, Fonny, Griffey, James, Martin, Taras, Nick, Audrey, Silver, Clarence. Good to see you guys on a Wednesday morning. Let's get into the market, shall we? As I said, I might have my face looking down, but I'm looking at your comments. Okay, so SPX. Let's go into the markets first. Actually, before we get into this, let's go into two things. Let's go into the USD Turkish first, because that seemed to be quite a good call yesterday. The main reason being is obviously we don't want to be paying 460 bucks in swaps or whatever you guys are paying per day on this trade. Now, I do think it looks good to the upside from a longer term perspective, but you got to think about, even though if this does come up, like we're going to put ourselves through this over the past, overnight and a couple hours in the morning where we're down, or I'm down another $460. And you've got to make that up. So again, psychology-wise and probably common sense-wise, it's getting out there. And we got out there pretty much at the perfect time for, I think it was for a 1.8 gain. So if I bring up I can't go and check Discord, but if I bring up the year-to-date, which I put in this morning, we've got 1.8 there. We're down now to 2.4% negative on the month, which, to be honest, I'm very happy with. If this is our down month and we've come away from 6% back down to 2.4, back up to 9.6 on the year, I'm perfectly happy with that. Perfectly happy with that. Also, CAD Swiss, you go to the aggressive strat data, back to CAD Swiss here. We got knocked out over the US session yesterday on this particular bar. Okay, remember we're using the SAR, so a dot below here. We're out of this trade for, I think it was for 3.5R, basically around 7%, basically around 3.5R, and up to 15.6 on that. So it's pretty good, pretty good. Did something happen with the euro 5 minutes ago? Any positive news come out on the euro? I don't believe so, Ash. Let's have a look. On the calendar. Sorry, guys, it's a little bit disjointed this morning because I can't see what you're saying. No, I don't believe any news came out. Might be just some volatility, end of Asia, possibly. But let's see. Euro, let's have a look at the euro. Because you've got a Euro USD short, right? I mean, you could be looking at this, Ash, right? Here. Corrective, potentially head and shoulders. We do have our V reversal, remember? We do have our V reversal, back in. Pull back, maybe it's this for continuation to the upside on EU. But you do have those moving averages as what's going on now? You do have these moving averages. Sorry, guys, everything is just making noise now for no reason. Okay, guys, I can't do up and down, unfortunately. I'm just going to go through my pairs, and then I'll go through what you're saying. Oh, I've got you. Okay, here you go. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We're back in business. Yields rose, DXY fell, got stopped out of EU in 5 minutes, closed EU due to a rally. Yeah, it could have been that. Okay, so there you go. Right, let's get back into it better. I can see what you're saying. Let me move you up here so I can get the chat in real time. And we're rocking and rolling. Rocking and rolling. Okay, SPX. We did think yesterday we might get a reaction out this area. We have indeed done that. And coming on also a little bit of high volume. So roughly around this area. Now, again, we expected this reaction. It is what we call a dark cloud cover. Okay, we open below and we close 50% on the body of the previous candle. Now, this is actually a bullish sign. I haven't read anything about anything coming out of Russia and Ukraine. Let me know if you guys have. I haven't read the fundamental news this morning. I obviously go by the technicals. Now, it's interesting because, as I said, this is usually a trend change indicator. Now, it could be a pullback. right? Because we haven't broken this structure here for continuation to the downside. That is still the probable, my personal bias for what we're seeing here because of this particular candle yesterday. So at the moment, we've got to think about pullback continuation. Path of least resistance is still down. We haven't not broken any real anchors to this downtrend. Sanctions for Russia? Okay, well, there you go. So that's probably given the market a little bit of hope. However, 4-hour chart, until we break through this area, I mean, we've got our anchor here on the 4-hour. Are we thinking that it does because of that? Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. I want to have proper confirmation. Okay, a break through this on the 4-hour, maybe we see a bit of risk on nature because of a break of that anchor, but we still have to consider a pullback on this daily chart. So I can't really go risk on yet until it breaks this area. That's what I would say on the SPX. This is a fundamentally driven market. Obviously, Russia and Ukraine is what's driving this right now rather than probably the technicals more so. So I think if we get a break and close above this area, giving the market a little bit of confidence moving forward, then maybe we look at a bit more risk on. But until that is confirmed, I don't want to go and say, oh, go and buy it because of this has happened, because things can change all the time. We've seen it time and time again. We haven't broken above this evening star. So until we do, it's going to be a rangy market. But this is a decent sign. The daily is a decent sign for some potential upward movement in the SPX. And this is what these chart patterns are, right? They're there for a reason. I didn't make up hammers and gophers, dark cloud covers. They're simple, but they are effective. If we look at, if we look back at the weekly in the SPX, look down here. What's this? Right, just as the COVID, on the COVID drop, we got this weekly dark cloud cover. And then obviously since then we've rose. So, maybe we look at, is this a potential ABC? It's not. I wouldn't consider this an ABC. It's not really nice on the weekly. The weekly's still bearish. So sanctions on Russia, even though it's given a little bit of a push, I don't know. I don't know whether I'm comfortable in saying this is good for a rise just yet. I don't think so. It looks from that weekly that maybe we were kind of losing momentum here. Maybe we need a harder reset before continuation. Maybe we've got it. But I'm not massively comfortable in buying up that stock market just yet. Wait for a break and a close to confirm that, but not massively comfortable in it at the moment. The dollar I've gotten wrong many days today. When I say it's going up, it comes back down. When I say it's going down, it comes back up. Where's the dollar going? Is this? Movement back to the downside. Let's start from the daily chart, see what we're seeing on this daily. There's still some rejection to the downside in this dollar. There's still some rejection to the downside in this dollar. We still look at it as we could still be in corrective mode. It's not quite ready to fall just yet. Or we could look at this saying, well, the market's rejecting moving down. It kind of wants to come back up. Again, I kind of want to sit on the fence here. I mean, maybe we're looking at this in the DXY, head and shoulders, potential move to the downside, but we've got moving averages here as dynamic support to it. So if we're talking about key areas with the DXY, I would consider here and here. We've got our highs of this pullback. We've got our potential B wave here, if we're going to consider this an ABC. ABC. Possible AB shallow C. So here I would say is a good confirmation of continuation down in that dollar. And a break above A would look better, certainly on that daily chart. It would look less like a corrective and more like a potential bullish pressure coming into that dollar. Because the more we go on in this, the less it looks like that theoretical corrective. I mean, we're getting at the end now. We're expecting a real move either way. We tried to do it here. We didn't get there. We came back to the downside. We've tried to push down. Buyers taking control, still in this corrective. So, yeah, I would say on the 4-hour chart, waiting for that confirmation of those two key areas. Would be my personal bias. Until then, I mean, this is hard to trade it, right? Look at it. I mean, over the past while, that's pretty difficult to trade this DXY. So waiting for a major break would probably be the best option for me. if you bring the blue bar lower a bit and draw a trend line on the bottom, could it be a triangle squeeze? The blue bar lower a bit. On this 4-hour chart, Martin? Are you talking in here? A wedge. Do you mean that? Let me just delete this. I'll delete it so it's a little bit easier to see. The one we're just looking at, yeah. So this is what you mean here. You're looking at a wedging structure in there. Yeah, I mean, it's not the clearest theoretical wedge because, you know, normally you'd like to see, I mean, we'd say, well, coming from here, are we squeezing in? Theory dictates we move back up to the upside, but you'd like to have the impulse kind of a bit more from a trending environment than that. But you could be right. It could be in this squeezing nature. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, theoretical for that says movement to the upside. I still do think that dollar should move up. You know, from a hunch point of view, I just do think the dollar moving up, the dollar strengthening would make sense to me. It's creating higher highs and moving along a big daily trend line, plus a lot of beneficial news will probably come out for the dollar. So yeah, I mean, I agree, Nick. I'm just waiting for that confirmation. You know, I'd rather the market tell me. I mean, you're saying that if we zoom out here, we've got a larger trend line in play. Kind of on this trajectory, right? Trajectory. But then, you know, this ain't very nice right here. You know, that price, this is good. Look at this. Bounced off it here, bounced off it, push on. This ain't very nice here. And certainly this. And I know this is kind of out with it because we've got Russia and Ukraine going on right now. The other thing you can look at is, are we getting a potential head and shoulders here? Neckline in there, movement to the downside. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm going to wait for that breaks of this areas before I get real confirmation, because I'm thinking in my mind, if we do get a break underneath, let's say we get a break underneath here, we got to think, yeah, correct, Silver. We got to think about what price action is going to look like. We're going to break through that trend line, and again, if we break and close, it would be quite decent, right? So what price action would look like then if we do break it below here is quite bearish. Again, similarly, if we break above here, we get some pressure off here. We're saying, well, is this trend line staying intact, and we're moving back, you know, back to the upside. So from a heart point of view, I'm thinking dollar should be moving to the upside, but I'm just going to wait for confirmation because right now, no clear direction. Is my long-winded way of saying I don't know where the hell the dollar's going right now. But there's a few different scenarios. My head probably says up. The technicals I would maybe say down, but yeah, I think it's a coin toss. Anyway, let's get into stuff that we can potentially predict. The watch this today. So Aussie dollar is numero uno. Aussie dollar. And we were umming and ahhing yesterday on this, were we? We were thinking, well, it's better to watch it rather than take it. Now, Ash, I know you were in this, but I think you got stopped out. I'm looking for a potential breakout retest of this area. Obviously, hindsight is great, right? Hindsight here is great, you know, in terms of a breakout, stop under here. We wouldn't have got one-to-one right now anyway. But if we come back and retest this area for movement to the upside, this would now look pretty good. It would now look pretty good. I mean, this daily now looks better. We've kind of gotten our bit more higher time frame confluence from recent price action here. Okay, nice pullback, and we've broken. We normally like to see wick breaks, right? So when we see these wick breaks, it's a good bullish sign to the upside. So Aussie dollar, although possibly we could. Let's have a look at this. Possibly we could miss this. But, I mean, that's gone anyway. Breakout retest is gone. Possibly we could miss it, but moving to upside. I just entered a trade in the 1 hour on Aussie dollar. I mean, that looks pretty good now, Martin. I did like it. I did say yesterday, like, forget about anything else. If you're looking at the context I like, this is great. You know, so just take a screenshot of that and say, this is what we're looking for on our trading time frame. And if we get better higher time frame confluence with that, bam, you take that every day. Not saying this is going to go up in motor to the upside. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's a great setup. But we just weren't confident, certainly yesterday, in what was happening with that DXY, with the fundamentals, and most importantly for me, with where the SPX was. With where the SPX was, it says to me, don't buy this Aussie dollar because it's a commodity currency. It doesn't do well in risk-off environments. But maybe we had a whole bunch of retail short on the Aussie dollar, and then we're moving back up to take out some stops. Let's wait and see. But Aussie dollar potential breakout retest. The same with pound Aussie, which I believe is probably coming down since I did my scan. Yeah, so this was another one. This wasn't the same as Aussie dollar because of our risk reward wasn't great on it anyway. We wanted a bit more in here, but we could be, if this doesn't break underneath the highs, we could be getting our complex corrective. Price action may be a bit messy, so I'll wait to see how that develops as we go on. But, you know, that wasn't bad. I wouldn't have minded you taking that breakout. I don't know if you would have hit TP1. Let's have a breakout underneath here. 100 pips, wasn't it? 105 pips. But you probably would be just missing your TP1 anyway, which you would be a little bit frustrated on right now. But maybe a breakout retest on pound Aussie. It does look better to the downside after that daily now, doesn't it? Breaking through this area, breaking underneath structure. We had a kind of a gap down, filled up here. It looks pretty good to the downside. You took 2 trades on the Aussie dollar. Oh yeah, well done. Close to TP1. It looks as if it's going to hit it, right? Price action doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad to hit that TP, I think, Nick, in my personal opinion. Just a shame about that higher time frames, is it? You know, I mean, even the smaller time frames here look good. You'd expect it to get up to the highs, right? Price is kind of like a magnet up there. You'd expect it to get that area. Remember what happened last time when we were here? Markets have a memory. People will probably remember this. You'll probably get some sellers coming in that area. But yeah, you'd expect it to hit your TP. So good, well done. Well done. Always like you guys hitting TPs. It's always nice. Okay, what else do we have today? We have USD Mexican. So USD Mexican is a trade I've been trying, probably you, Martin, as well, trying to get into for quite some time. And it's still looking nice. Daily is looking great. My worry about this daily is I don't get in on it. I mean, look at this bar yesterday on volume, rejecting that 200, inverted hammer on high volume. 20 period is now starting to come down. So the daily breakout is still there. Need a bit more of a accumulation, in which case this would be an absolute A-star setup to the downside. The good thing about it is if we do get it, look at this risk reward. Great, right? A tight risk reward for a decent move that hopefully, you know, this is what we try to do. We try to get on big moves like this on every single trade we take. Now, it's not always going to happen. We've seen that. They don't come often, but that is the goal for every single trade. In which case, if we've got a risk reward like this, and we time the market quite perfectly, getting that accumulation could be a really nice trade. But what I'm looking at here, I've got a daily, but I've also got a setup on this 30-minute, which is quite nice. It is nice here. V reversal, double V reversal. We're getting our accumulation in. Notice where the moving averages are, right next to price action. The worry about this is I can't take breakouts on the small time frames, right? So if this does go, that's a bit of a problem for us because then it might just go and leave us after waiting a long time for a potential trade, not getting involved in it. But if we do break through, there is some little barriers where we could get some buying stepping in here. In which case, if we have that breakthrough, buyer stepping in, okay, we'll come and retest this area on that 20. Path of least resistance is to the downside. That is an absolute A-class setup. For a breakout retest, stops above the 200, above the 20. I'm not saying that's going to be a guaranteed winner if we get it, but I'll be very surprised if it doesn't, put it that way, with how nice it is. But I don't want to, obviously, we can't guarantee anything. I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope we do get that set up today because everything about it I like. You know, 4 hours good we had from this latest impulse. It looks digested enough, right? You know, correcting through time, slight pullback here, rejection, probably taking some retail stops out on this move or V reversal back on the smaller time frames. Thank you very much. Brokers are happy. Let's get involved in it right now as we move to the downside. So USD Mexican, by far my favorites on the basket for potentially a trade today or that daily in the next few days. Pound yen I've taken as an aggressive entry. Now this is something I'm noticing as I go along with this aggressive entry, is that it seems to, again, I don't have all the data here, but it seems to work best if we have a V reversal accumulation, right? Push on, seems to work best here, like we're getting here, like we got with CAD Swiss. If we've got a cup with handle, okay, we want the cup with handle within a cup with handle. It seems to work better here rather than here. Again, this is what I think. I don't know that yet, but as you develop strategies like this is what you start to notice, because we're trying to hone in over the next 20, 30 trades of what we exactly like. Because what we want to do here is, if we go back to the data on it, here, let's see if this loads. I'll tell you what, I'll just go here. What we want to replicate is these trades, right? The 10.4%, the 7%. This is what we want to figure out. Okay, why did they work better than, let's say, the 2%, or obviously the losing trade reviews? This is what we need to figure out, and then we're so confident in what we're doing. We've got everything set down. So we know our trade management here. Our trade management is one trade, SAR. I'll put the SAR in here. Very easy. And you come back and you come out when the SAR moves above price action. Okay, now this is also important. Now notice how we've got the SAR above price action here. That's irrelevant. Doesn't matter right now, okay? Because we're looking for this to break the area. It's a pre-breakout strategy, aggressive strategy. So we're looking for this to push on, SAR to come underneath, and then we look for the dot above. So I'm in that on my data. Again, this is not real money. Stop loss underneath the candle, looking for movement to the upside. GJ is on the list, but it's got some time to go. Push on, accumulate, break to the upside. Not going to talk about it too much because it's still got a bit, but I do like that as an aggressive strategy, or aggressive entry, sorry. You're about to take it on the 30-minute. Oh, in here. I mean, you've certainly got a higher time frame confluence now, silver. On the red pin bar, yeah. That would have been a nice entry, would it? Here, cup with handle. Is that a setup, GJ? Above there. Probably not for me. I mean, this is one of the things, excuse me if you're hearing a plane. 1 second, guys. This is the thing with my context is I normally like to see the bodies up here for our initial structure if we're getting cut with handle. You know, I don't often like these just like wicks to the upside like this. I normally like to see it, the bodies get there, the closes get there before we get our pattern. That's the only thing I don't like about GJ, but I certainly like the bias to the upside. Absolutely. Okay, what else? And I think the last one was, oh no, two more, Swiss yen. Swiss yen was one on this daily chart. Almost ready, actually. V reversal. We're in this accumulation phase. We know we like the weekly. We know we like where it is. RTM, I think it's certainly RTM. What I'm looking for is a day, potentially today, of bullish pressure. So if we can get price action that looks like this, we got our bullish engulfer here, morning star. We've got our inside bar. It's not a bearish engulfer. It is coming on high volume. But if we can get something today that indicates some bullish pressure or potentially a doji bar morning star that gets us into this trade because, you know, for a breakout of this zone, I mean, I kind of like that. Swiss yen to the upside. Again, we go back to the weekly. The weekly is good. You know, the weekly is good. The issue is this turning into a complex? That's my only issue with the weekly, but we're going with that trend. So potentially Swiss yen to the upside. We have got a pullback to that 20. I just worry about, is this B wave? And we come down. But it needs to show me some bullish pressure anyway. Remember, if we do break out of that area, we're breaking out of these wicks, right? So we're breaking out of what we're considering B wave. So it changed the dynamic of that potential setup to, okay, we thought it was B wave, but we're breaking through now, so it can't be. Yes, it can come up back here and you know, have a deeper corrective, but I think it'll look a lot more bullish if we do break above. And finally, UK 100, the UK 100. I like this. You know, it's been probably the best moving index of them all for the past little while. We've had some movement to the downside. If we look at the weekly first, I was looking at the 4 hour, but if we look at the weekly, you know, it doesn't look too bad. Pushing up here, back to that 20 to a T. Look at that. Back to the 20, back to the 20, back to the 20. We could be getting our hammer bar, but it looks good. You know, going with that trend on the weekly. Perfect, right? Daily, we've got our outside bullish engulfer, so it is counter trend on this 4 hour chart that we're looking to take the trade in. But here's our confluence, okay, on volume as well. So we have our confluence there with the daily. This is telling us that potentially it wants to move to the upside. All right, in the setup, potential head and shoulders here, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, pushing on to the area. A little bit of accumulation. I still think this move from here needs to be digested a little bit more. The breakout will be above this 200. But again, I just need something a little bit more in here to get that trade to the upside. UK 100, breaking out of this area as well. Everything about that, again, that I do like. So even though we don't have a lot on the watch list, there's a lot of really good pairs. A lot of really good pairs. And that is all she wrote. So for today, the main one really is USD Mexican. But I'm not, again, as always, with every single day, we're not going to go forcing stuff in. We always think about the long-term game. And I'm very happy with that winner yesterday. I don't want to go lose it trying to force something, certainly on a pair like USD Mexican, even though I think everything about me is saying I want to get involved in it. You know, I don't want to go in and just say, you know, I'm just going to take the breakout because it looks so good. I've got to stick to my rules on that USD Mexican. But this is certainly my pick of the bunch for today. But let's see if we get it. Let's see. And I'm back in the race. Look at me. I'm back in the race for this 200 verification. 193, almost 194. It's giving me that leeway back. Still got plenty of time until April to get it. Everything can change very quickly. But I was very happy with that win on USD Turkish because if I'd lost it, then it would be a little bit worrisome. And again, what came through? My data came through. I'm not saying I'm out of my drawdown right now, but I had 3 losing trades and now I've won 1. The data suggests that I lose 3 trades as my drawdown, and then that's it. So hopefully my data rings true again. Okay, any questions, guys? Anything you want me to look at? Great to see so many of you in the room this morning. Elmi, good morning. How's everybody's trading going this week? Let me know. Are you learning anything new? Have you made any improvements? Also, remember, since I've got so many in the room, the 50K as well, where the 23rd of February, that is being announced on the, when is the first Friday? The 4th of March. You know, I've never traded in NASDAQ, Nick. I don't know why, but I've just never traded in NASDAQ. Maybe it's something I need to add in. Oh, well done, buddy. Great risk rewards on your trades. What's that? That must have been about, Jesus, I don't know, 8 or 9, 6 or 7, 6 or 7. So you're looking here at this area, continuation of that channel. Well done. Perfect. 7 to 1. Well done. All right, guys, if there is nothing else you want me to look at, I guess I'll love you and leave you. Sorry, yeah, the 50K before I get. 3rd, what did I say? 4th of March. If you want to be entered into it, remember, you got to be a full member to do so. We have had 2 entries only. If you've entered last month or the month before, you want to enter again, make sure you enter again. There's no limit. If you've won it before, you can win it again. You know, the best time to win is certainly now because we have a bit less people in our community, which to be honest, I kind of like. But it doesn't make sense from a business perspective. Okay, Martin, do you think my stop loss after TP1 is correct? I know you like to let trades run, but I'm still on that. Can't take the psychological loss. New stop loss after TP1. 1-to-1 risk. So you're moving your stop loss to entry. Yeah, so that, I mean, that's a technique. That makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to me, right? It guarantees a profitable trade. For me, I would just be waiting for the swing. You know, I know it's a bit harder, but if once you get to TP1, you got to think that, well, we'll probably on this 1 hour chart get some sort of pullback or an anchor where I can move my stop loss. But from psychological wise, if you're saying, and this is good that you've recognized this, Martin, if you feel more comfortable putting your stop loss to break even, put your stop loss to break even. Again, it's about what do you like longevity wise. You know, if you're happy and you can kind of go away from the chart with your stop at break even and say, great, you know, I can go and live my life. Aussie dollar can do whatever it wants to do. I've made some money on it already. Then move your stop loss to break even. If you're okay with waiting for that swing in the chance that it does fall, right, and you make nothing from that trade, right, 1-to-1, you make nothing. You know, obviously over the long run, you know, you'll make a lot of money on trends that really go. Then do that. But it all depends on your psychology. What do you like to do? You know, I used to do that, Martin. I did used to do that. Yeah, I could do. I mean, sorry, what's the chart? Aussie dollar. Let's have a look at Aussie dollar. It could, I mean, we're looking for the breakout retest, right? So, but it doesn't mean it has to do that. And to be honest, I mean, we could get, some reaction where it is now. So, if you're asking for my personal opinion, it would be wait for the swing. But again, it doesn't matter about one trade. It doesn't matter about one trade. All it matters about is how fine are you with replicating that trade management. So anything can happen in one trade. It's just whatever you like. That's the best advice I can give you, Martin. You know, it's the best advice I can give you. Yeah, and that's the good thing about taking some off the table is it just gives you that, like, you know, there you go. You're not worried. You're not checking the charts, you know, on your phone or when you're out for a walk thinking, shit, I hope this is getting me more. And it comes down, you're thinking, oh, shit, should I have taken profits then? You know, that always used to happen to me. It goes up. How many times do I remember that it comes up and I didn't take any profits, came back down and hit my stop loss? Taking some money off the table. It doesn't have to be 50%. You know, you could end up taking 3 trades, 33%, taking half off at, or taking 30% off at 1-to-1, taking 33% off at 2-to-1, and then letting 33% run. You know, you can do that as well. That obviously adds a little bit of extra element to it because you've got to put an extra trade in, but it's something else you can consider. But again, trade management will always work. If you're looking for these large trends, they will come. It just depends on what you like and what you can handle. Like a bull, I can't see red, yeah. Nobody. But I mean, look, it's pushing through the area now. I mean, if it breaks through, looks pretty good to the upside. I mean, it's breaking through it now. Let's have a look at the dollar. So anyway, I'll go off. There's no other questions. I can speak for hours. I've been on. I can speak for hours. But if there's this one is the one to look out for me today. And I fingers crossed. I want it. Oh, sorry, Martin. Crypto. Okay, so crypto. In terms of what was your question? You asked me a question. Where was it? Ukraine and mining and the use of it. Do you think a war will push crypto up or down? I mean, this is the thing with well, let's talk about Bitcoin exactly. It's like people have been trying to find, okay, what asset class is it? Is it, you know, there was a time where people were thinking of it as a digital gold, but it's not really acting as that. You know, gold is obviously an inflation hedge, a safe haven asset, and has been acting like that over the past little while. Bitcoin's not been. I think. Obviously, some added restrictions to it, some people coming in about mining, etc., won't help Bitcoin. I just think, with my personal view on it, I just think it wants to tag this 30K. You know, I do. We didn't tag it there, but I think it just kind of wants to come down to this area. We are on a downtrend. So until that changes, and we had some wicks to the upside here, fair enough. We thought maybe this comes back down, push on. It didn't do that. It fell off here. So, yeah, I mean, restrictions or anything coming negatively from governments about Bitcoin will not help its cause. I'm still a Bitcoin bull, absolutely. I don't mind this coming down. You know, I want this to come down a bit further. I'd like it to break the 30K mark if possible. But I do think this comes down here. You know, but at the end of the day, forgetting about the fundamental side, we're on a downtrend, you know, and we're on a pretty healthy downtrend, to be honest with you. So crypto short still, I mean, is that previous day's bar? I mean, you could technically call that a dark cloud cover, so we could be in for a potential pullback. But until it breaks this area, looking for reasons to get in on the short side would still make sense. Would still make sense for me. You know. So yeah, I'm still a Bitcoin or a crypto bear, but I think it comes down to 30K. From a technical wise, you know, in terms of fundamentals, Martin, you know what I'm going to say. Ask Glenn or Andrew; they'll give you a better answer on that side of things. Obviously, if they do come out with restrictions on mining or whatever in terms of that side, it ain't going to be good for Bitcoin. I just think from a technical perspective, it wants to probably test this 30K, but it can run. It can run if it wants to run. I mean, 4 hour does look back to the 20. There's no reason to sell it just yet. I don't believe. Just yet. You know, you'd probably like to see with that daily chart maybe something like this. Get you in roughly around there, which could be a larger head and shoulders for continuation down to that 30K. Yeah, that would be my opinion. That would be my personal opinion, Martin. All right, guys. There's nothing else. I appreciate you all coming on. Quite a lot this morning, which is always great to see. And I'll see you all at the same time tomorrow. And we'll do it all over again. Obviously, if I take USD Mexican, I will let you know. Cheers, guys, and trade safe.